Lewis Capaldi, pleasure to chat. How are you, sir?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not so bad. I've got the last slot of a series of interviews you've been doing this morning for
Yes,
the new
indeed.
single.
Absolutely, man. It's good to be chatting to you. It's good to be. You'll get the energy now because it's
Yeah.
like
Ooh, you're,
lunchtime.
although you've probably heard all the questions, so let's just stop and chat. How are you, man? No, inside in yourself.
I'm good, man. Every day's a struggle. The world's imploding upon itself. We all know that. We're probably going to be here for another 10 years before the sun explodes and kills us all. But aside from that, I'm in good fettle. I'm in good
Great.
form.
Listen, let's just straight off the bat talk about the song. Is this your first single in quite a while? And how do you feel about it? Because I love it. It's a hit straight off the bat. There's no question about it.
Thank
It's got
you.
a lovely little clip to the start of it, and then it hits a point and pops along from there, and a lovely delivery. And I just think people are they're gonna gobble this one up, and I think radio are gonna be just churning it out. Sounds like it's underselling the song, if you know what I mean.
Well,
Churning it out because it's going to be a pop hit that people are going to love to hear on the radio. So
yeah, yeah.
thank you for
Thank you,
giving
man.
us that. How do you feel about it?
I love it, man. I'm pleased. I'm glad we got something with a bit of pace to come back with. I think, as I said, the world's in turmoil. I don't think people need a straight up ballad from me just yet. I'll give them a couple of months before I put them through that pain. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to have a tune out. And as you say, yeah, it's a bit of a different vibe, a bit of a different tempo, and hopefully people love it. I just hope it's well received. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I love it.
So you didn't play it live. I mean, this is it. No one's heard this yet, have they?
No one's heard that. We had kind of toyed with the idea of maybe playing it live, but I don't want the first time people hear it to be through
Mm,
like a
mm,
scratchy phone
mm,
recording on
mm.
YouTube. So it felt right to just park it for a bit and then bring it out properly and let people hear it.
Well, because you were here in Cork earlier this summer, and you've been hanging out in Ireland. I mean, obviously Niall Horan's, but you were going to go out on tour with him in like 2020. I presume that hit the dust, did it, as a result of?
Of COVID, yeah, big time. But yeah, man, it's always nice to hang out with him. And to be fair, I think it's probably for the best that tour got cancelled because it was like gig 2 days off, gig 2 days off. So it was like I don't think our livers could have withstood the abuse that they would have had to go through during that.
Well, I know that it like your fame and the success, burst upon you in probably like a tidal wave at the time that it did, and you were loving it. I mean, you like to document, not document your life, but you know what I mean. You're up on social media now. There was some funny stuff along the way. I particularly remember one time in America when you had to go looking for what do you do? Use the thing to plunge the toilet.
Plunger, yeah, plunger. Yeah. That was difficult. That was a harrowing morning. Do you know what's mad though as well? As much as like the music and that is important stuff, that plunger thing became such a big turning point in my career. Honestly,
Really?
I'd say the same amount of people bring up that plunger story to me, and then people do mention my music. Like it's mad. It's so mental. Like, it's one of those things that like. Again, I didn't think much of it at all at the time. I was just like taking the piss like how I would on my stories if no one was watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then at the time as well, it did feel like no one was watching because
Yeah.
it didn't feel like I
Yeah.
wasn't like this
Mm.
big, massive thing. And it was just, it just kind of really took on a life of its own that. And people started bringing plungers to the gigs and throwing them on stage and all that. It was,
Well, I'll give her a shout out now. She's not with us anymore, but Rebecca Noonan was our social media manager, and we were playing your songs at the time. So yeah, you're right. It maybe hadn't blown up as big as it was going to, but she was certainly following the fun that she was just like, this guy is absolutely hilarious. You have to, and she brought me to watch that one, and I was like, oh my god, that is brilliant. He's what a class guy. You could kind of tell you had that sort of it feels a very natural Irishy, Scottishy kind of down to earth sense of humor and easygoing kind of thing. Yeah, it does. It's got that kind of vibe. So I mean, it was very easy to identify with and just sort of love from a distance. But so hat tip to Rebecca for bringing me the plunger story. Little did I know the one that I have seen was going to be the key one.
oh man, it was mad.
Sorry, what I wanted to ask you was kind of like, it probably was hard to deal with all of that at that time. And luckily COVID came along to rescue. And so how was that transition between the world, gigs every 2 days, interviews out the yin yang and God knows what else going on, and swirly whirly and the US first Scots since Sheena Easton to hit #1 in the US.
Yeah. Me and Sheena
Did a few, Sheena.
Yeah, it was good, man. It's crazy. It's just it was very bizarre, very strange. So it was nice. It was weird, that sort of selfishness of like, oh, this will be quite good to have this break for a couple of weeks, which obviously we thought it was going to be at the time. And then it just became it just spiraled and it became too long.
Oh, what if this never happened? What if this never comes back to the way that it was?
Well, that's the thing. I think honestly, I've got lots of friends who are musicians whose careers really suffered because they were like on the cusp of doing what we did like a couple of months prior.
Yeah.
And then obviously they couldn't tour.
Yeah.
Like it keeps me up at night, the thought of imagine I had just released my album like a couple months later. Like that's so terrifying to think that this could have all just gone away and not happened.
And in fairness, in music and in sport, like in football, like sometimes lucky breaks. I mean, there's players don't make it that were as good as players that did make it, but just you need a little roll and then it rolls on anyway. You're here and you're there and you're back with a really strong song.
A friend of mine said, "Hard work puts you where good luck finds you."
Oh,
there you go.
There's a tattoo.
Yeah.
But they're hanging out in Ireland because you went busking with Nile. Was that in Mullingar? Or was it in Dublin?
It was in Dublin. It was in Grafton Street. Yeah, it was good, man. It was exciting. It was I've never really done anything like that before. And we were out and about and we thought we'd just give it a go. And it was it was incredible. It was nice. It was a bit frenzied. It felt like I was in One Direction. And it felt like I feel like I'll be chasing that feeling for the rest of my days now. Because when I go out on the street by myself, people don't gather around me like that. So it was definitely a Nile thing.
I got brought to Niall Horan's second ever live show in the Olympia and with Universal, and they gave me earplugs going in, or one of the lads was, "Do you want a pair of earplugs?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Have you ever been to like a Niall Horan 1D gig?" I was like, "No." And he goes, "Trust me, one song in, I was like, wow, that's unbelievable." But I was very impressed with him even at that point. And do you guys work together? Do you collaborate anyway?
We've written songs together in the past, and he's an incredible writer, and I've heard some of his new music for his new album, and it's amazing. But we've not got any plans to release anything, but it's always fun just to sit with a guitar and kind of work out a tune together.
Because I saw footage of him looking at Harry Styles in Wembley and hearing the whole crowd singing, 1D, what makes you beautiful? And, you kind of like, I wonder, does he aspire to that? Do you aspire to that level of, like the Harry Styles level looks crazy altogether?
He's pretty famous, and I don't know if I'd like to be as famous as that, but he's definitely, Harry Styles is another one who's just like an incredible artist, and the music he makes is great. And I think that's the thing as well. You can be in just because you were in One Direction doesn't necessarily guarantee your career afterwards. You have to come up with the goods in terms of the tunes. And I think Niall and Harry, especially for me, like they're my favorite. The music they've made is like my favorite of the thing. But the bunch of them, all of them have continued to make good music, and that's why you're seeing them do so well, because they are talented like that. And I think that's the thing. So that's what I aspire to. I maybe aspire to the longevity that they've all had, because I think that's like 10 years plus they've been doing it now, and I think they're still as prolific and still as active as ever, especially in terms of writing and releasing tunes and that. And I think that's the thing that you want to.
And there's no guarantee of that. You really just got to keep delivering. And
you're only as good as your next song. That's the thing. It's never. It's a stressful truth, but it's the truth, no less.
Were you in Mullingar though? Even though the busking was in Dublin, were you at the Flack Hill?
Me and Niall played the song in Clark's. I think it was the name of the pub, and it was brilliant. Yeah, Flack Hill was brilliant. It was a good buzz. I've never seen the streets filled that much with like people just having a good time and partying and all the rest of it. So it was brilliant, man. I hopefully I can go back to another FLA maybe next year or something and actually get to be there for the full week or whatever. But it was class.
Nice one. I'm on a kind of last minute warning, so let me just bring you back to the music. The song that we're hearing, "Forget Me," how is it indicative of there's more ballads to come, but how does that indicate what's to come?
There's more there. There's obviously the ballads. They were always going to be there on this record as well. But for sure, there's definitely there's a few different kind of sounding songs. I didn't set out to make a different sounding record. That wasn't the plan ever. But obviously there is a natural progression from the first one. But it's if you like the first one, you'll like the second one. It's not some like, I haven't gone experimental jazz on this one. You know what I mean? So it's all good. But I love it, and I think I prefer it to the first one. So I mean, we'll soon see how we get on.
And finally, you said the world's in crisis, but Celtic are back on top, so it can't be that bad.
They are indeed. So it's all good, but it's all good, and they're looking good as well this season. So fingers crossed, things continue on that path.
Nice one, Lewis Capaldi. Thanks for joining us on Red FM here in Cork. Thank you so much.
Cheers, Dave, mate. Take it easy.
Nice one, Lewis. Sound man. Take care.